You don't want money, you want freedom. Money is just the vehicle, what you're really chasing when you chase money, and why confusing the map with the territory is the most expensive mistake you'll ever make. There is a lie almost all of us have, swallowed whole, unchewed, unquestioned. A lie so neatly wrapped in logic and common sense that it passes for absolute truth. The lie goes like this: what you want is money. And no, what you want is not money. It never was. It never will be. Think about it for a moment with brutal honesty. What would you do if you suddenly had $10 million in your account, but could never leave your room again? What good would those millions be if you can't watch your children grow up, if you can't drink your morning coffee staring at the ocean, if you can't choose how every hour of your life unfolds? Money without freedom is paper. It's a number. It is absolutely nothing. Now, the honest question: how many people do you know who have money but have no freedom? Who earn well but can't take a week off without their business collapsing? Who drive this year's car but arrive home exhausted every single night? Who accumulate wealth but sell their time, their energy, their health, and deep down know they are trapped inside a very well-decorated golden cage? That is the trap. And most people fall into it because they confuse the map with the territory. They confuse the vehicle with the destination, the diagnosis. When the vehicle becomes the goal, imagine you need to reach the top of a mountain. The view from up there is what you're after: the clean air, the perspective that changes everything, the feeling of having truly arrived. To get there, you need a vehicle. It could be a four-wheel drive, a helicopter, or your own two legs. But in no case is the vehicle the reason for the journey. The vehicle is only the means. Money is exactly that, the off-roader that gets you to the summit. And what waits at the top is different for everyone. For some, it's time with family. For others, it's the ability to create without restriction. For many, it's simply the ability to wake up every morning without the fear of the coming month crushing their chest. The most expensive mistake of our generation wasn't choosing the wrong job. It was confusing money with freedom and chasing the vehicle as if it were the destination. When you confuse the two, something unsettling happens. You start accumulating money as an end in itself. You work more hours to earn more, spend more to reward yourself for working so much, and need to earn even more to sustain that spending. It's a perfectly designed spiral to keep you running without ever arriving anywhere. The consumer industry has known this for decades. It has spent generations selling the same illusion in different packaging: the car that will give you status, the house that will give you peace, the watch that will tell you that you've made it. But every time you arrive, the finish line moves. The next level always demands a little more. And time, the only resource that cannot be recovered, keeps flowing. 87% of people work at something they wouldn't choose if money weren't a constraint. When 3 successful professionals report feeling trapped despite earning well, people on their deathbed ever said, "I wish I had worked more hours." The real question: what's waiting at your summit? Before building any financial strategy, before chasing any online income, before launching any business, there is one question very few people ask themselves with the depth it deserves: what do I actually want money for? Not the generic answer of, to live better. The specific, uncomfortable, honest answer. Do you want to be able to say no to a client who makes you feel small? Do you want to be home when your kids walk in from school, not when they're already asleep? Do you want to travel 3 months a year without asking anyone's permission? Do you want to create without the market dictating every creative decision you make? Do you simply want to live without that constant pressure in your chest that goes by the name of financial insecurity? Every one of those answers is completely valid. And each one defines a different number, a different system, a different path. Because the person who needs $50,000 a year to live exactly as they want doesn't have to build the same business as someone who needs $500,000. Freedom doesn't have a standard price. It has your price. You don't need to be a millionaire to be free. You need to know exactly what your version of freedom costs and build a system that generates that. The paradigm shift: building the right vehicle for your destination. When you understand that money is a vehicle, everything changes. You stop asking, how do I make more money? And start asking, what system do I need to have the life I want? That is a radically different question with radically different answers. Someone whose freedom is time doesn't need the biggest business. They need the most automated one. Someone whose freedom is creativity doesn't need the most stable income. They need the most flexible one. Someone whose freedom is security doesn't need the highest return on investment. They need the most predictable and sustainable one. This also explains why so many successful people feel empty. They built an incredible vehicle, powerful, fast, admired by everyone, but heading in a direction that was never truly theirs. They climbed the wrong mountain. They reached the summit and discovered the view wasn't what they wanted. And the worst part, they had spent the best years of the journey staring at the ground. The online world changed something fundamental in this equation. For the first time in history, it is possible to build income systems that decouple time from money. A course you record once can sell 1,000 times. A well-positioned article generates traffic for years without you touching it again. A well-built community produces value in a circular way, where every member gives and receives. That isn't magic. That is architecture. But architecture only works if you're clear on what building you want to construct. And you only know that when you're clear on why you're building it. Not to have more. To be more free, the uncomfortable conclusion. The question nobody wants to ask themselves. Here comes the part that stings. If you don't feel free today, there are two possibilities. The first is that you don't yet have enough money. The second, and this is by far the most common, is that you have a confused relationship with what you actually want, and you're chasing the wrong number with the wrong method for the wrong reasons. There are people who live on less and feel completely in charge of their time, their energy, and their choices. And there are others who earn 10 times more and live in constant anxiety because it's never enough, because the next level always demands more, because they've confused accumulating with arriving. Financial. Freedom is not a number. It is an architecture. It is the difference between an income that requires your constant presence and a system that runs while you step away. Between a business that owns you and one that belongs to you. Between working to survive and building to live. And building that architecture starts with a single decision. Stop chasing the vehicle and start defining the destination. Because once you know exactly where you want to go, the path becomes infinitely clearer. And money, in its rightful place, stops being the goal and becomes what it always should have been. The most powerful tool that exists for building the life you chose. So the question is not how much you want to earn. The question is, what do you want to be free for? Answer that first. The rest is engineering. Don't work for money. Tell money what to work for.